Good evening, and I'm sorry I'm not going to speak Greek. But you may wonder why I'm here, why someone from London is here tonight. And the reason is very simple, that 44 years ago, in 1980, I thought I'd got lucky. I thought something special was happening to me. I entered my classroom at a very depressing Burdett School of Architecture. I think quite a lot of you know it. At the opening lecture of a master's degree. And, you know, most English postgraduate students and tutors are not a pretty sight, right, at all. So in the corner, piercing eyes under a cascade of amazing black hair, sat Maria. She was shy, she was quiet, but she stood out like absolutely no one else in the room. We got on, I think. I mean, you know, it was 44 years ago. And we started our academic journey together, or life journey together, with a brilliant but brutish professor, Bill Hillier, who has already been referred to, and a youngish, slightly awkward, fast-talking tutor with a bit more hair than tonight, John Peponis. Very soon, Andreas appeared as an anxious, pretty nervous PhD student. The other half of this ridiculously good-looking couple. I mean, it was just, you know, gave up immediately walking. You know. They were so well-connected, so bonded together. It was just, I mean, two elegant Athenians in what was then, you've got to remember, a pretty provincial and ugly London. They brought something very, very special to us. We became friends. We became part of a gang. Most of them are here. John, of course, Evita, Elias, Valia, and Mika, my wife, who I just met. We shared meals, we shared holidays, we had a passion for everything, architecture, gossip, a lot of gossip, and the city. Definitely the city. But I do remember black leather, sunglasses, and cigarettes. A lot of them. Too many, maybe, yeah. And then children appeared, and that changed things a little bit. Maria's curious mind and sharp insights were clear from the start. We followed the same courses, we had the same deadlines. She was always interested in detail and expressed her views in succinct, short sentences. Maria always had an opinion about people, about places, about restaurants, about architecture, and on the whole, she was always right, I have to say. Andreas was more urbane. There's nothing wrong with that, Andreas. Yeah? More open with his judgments, perhaps more influenced by the theories and fashions of the period. We saw phenomenology, memory, Aldo Rossi, and the architecture of the city. In the end, our brutal professor, Bill Hillier, has made all of us absolutely curious about the connections between space and society. That's a bond that keeps us together. We all went different ways, some in academia, publishing, institutions, public policy, urbanism, but frankly, only Maria and Andreas really made it in architecture. Kouroukoulous Architects was born, as you all know, in 1987, out of this very international, but also very intellectual cocktail, firmly rooted in Athenian culture. And in this regard, certainly their work, their practice, was the epitome of what the critic Kenneth Frampton has described as critical regionalism. I know it's a word that's used a lot, but what Ken referred to then as architecture, which defines the elements of topography, of climate, of light, of tectonics, which is fundamental to the art of architecture, is very much what you see in their work. And, you know, there are others, slightly older generation, but pretty close, like Eduardo Souto de Moura, Alvaro Siza, of course, much older in Portugal, the early work of Mario Botta in the Ticino, and the Irish generation, including Grafton architects, all fall into sort of that category. This is not a sort of single moment. So over the 4 decades of our friendship, we met sporadically, but always with warmth and always with fun. Lunch in Venice on the Gran Canale during the Biennale was frequent. Tavernas either in squalid Camden in London or much cooler Kolonaki. Early holidays in Sabatiki, I think quite a lot of us remember. But probably most bizarre of all was when we had a totally random encounter in the most remote place on earth, San Pedro de Atacama, none of you know there. Well, maybe some of you have been there, in the extreme north of Chile. We turned the corner, Mika and I, of a dusty street, empty town, and there were this ridiculously elegant couple with leather and sunglasses, in a Jeep, of course. So Maria and Andreas were always cool, very, very cool. But we knew who was the boss, don't we, Andreas? We knew who was. With her hippie demeanor, and dress code, Mika reminded me that she wore bracelets on her arms. That says something. Maria had an air of absolutely quiet authority. She expressed her view with her own low-pitched voice, a flashing expression, or a profound smile. There was nothing fake about her. I think John, in Greek, mentioned this to me, certainly in other times, and may have said it now, that how they worked together on design projects. They talked, Andreas sketched, and Maria nodded, or not, right, to give the go-ahead. We all know that she was the anchor of the office and held the strings together, while Andreas was also able to build up a unique reputation as a teacher at the university. I think this DNA, of course, is still there in the family, with Katarina and Hannes now so closely involved, obviously, in the office, but Nicholas in his own work. So just thinking about this, that despite, or perhaps because of their connection to Athens and their region, Andreas and Maria have become a sort of international reference point for us, for those outside. They have been a connector to your city, to its politics, to its culture. There are many artists, there are musicians, there are representatives of the culture of your city. I'm very lucky to have, quite a large Athenian family, but for many architects and others, artists, cultural operators, including the recent Pritzker Prize winner, our mutual friend David Chipperfield, Andreas and Maria have represented Athens. So for me, their work, their presence, their humanity transcends the architecture. It's very, very human. And Maria, with whom I share a birthday, is deeply missed. But their legacy is here to stay. Thank you.